most politicians would consider it very brave to support an airport. It's one of those assets that we all love to hate, but what would we be without it? So often support for airports is relatively, I say, behind the scenes. It was fairly clear, as the congestion at Brisbane Airport in 12 and 13 showed, and a lot of that was driven by the fly-in, fly-out mining construction boom, and once that finished, that slowed down. But it was clear a single runway was not going to be sufficient, and Brisbane Airport had been located onto that site with the second runway planned right from the get-go. So it was fairly, I think most politicians, both state and federal, and certainly the city, realised that we had to grow capacity at the airport, and they wanted to see that done. But they wanted to see it done in a way that wasn't, sort of, I was going to say bulldozing, but of course we did have to bulldoze. There wasn't in a way that was done with disregard to community and how it was done. So I think the first and foremost thing is we really had to build that community of support. And that was a lot of working behind the scenes, proving up the business case, proving up what we could do and how we could manage, as best we can, noise. There's no way you can avoid noise, even though I said Brisbane Airport is located better than most. And we worked very hard for many years with Air Services to define airspace that would be best suited to good noise management. But there's no doubt about it. When things change, and the first time an aircraft takes over your house, even if it's not considered bad by airport terms, which is not what everyone thinks, I might add, it's still a shock. And that shock takes a while for the community to absorb. And I said, they've got to be respected, it's genuine. But we've got to, we still need the airport, so that's the way of going. So it was really that endless work of trying to manage all of those various things and keeping politicians well advised by taking the lead ourselves, not expecting anybody to do it for us. We just wanted your quiet support in the background, and primarily that's what we got. No politician weighed into the Courier Mail campaign. The mayor, all the mayors I've dealt with, right from Campbell now to the current mayor, have all been very, very supportive. Our local members have been absolutely brilliant. But, as I said, we've got to stand and do it ourselves. We're going to be held accountable. And I think that's really important. I've had so many people right through my career saying, why don't politicians do what we want them to do? Why don't they see how important it is? Well, I don't care how important it is to you. They want to get re-elected. What's important to them is what you've got to think about. And you've got to help them not to be the victim in what you're doing. So again, it's taking that responsibility. It's taking on the ownership of those problems and doing your very, very best to mitigate as much as you can. There's no answer. I remember Peter Arneson chaired the Noise Advisory Committee for me, and when Peter took on the role, he said to me, what does success look like? And I must admit, I've offset my question many, many times since then on many issues. And I remember just sitting there for a minute thinking, what is success about aircraft noise? And I thought, well, at least people know we've been honest, we've been transparent about it, they know we've tried our best, and that we've made as many people as comfortable as possible. So, again, it's not a zero-sum game. There's always a compromise there, but you've got to own it. You've always got to own it. And not expect some politician who's going to be up for re-election in 3 years to do it for you. Yeah. It's hard to say. I think it was different. I'd been hanging on that fence for a few years, looking at the aeroplanes for a few years. I'd read a few books, novels almost, about back of house at airports, and I always thought that was really cool. But I just think it was different, and I've always wanted to be maybe just a little bit different. And it looks such an exciting thing to do. As I said, and it wasn't because I wanted to fly. I'm a bit of a sook when it comes to that sort of thing. And I don't really like single-engine aeroplanes, sorry, girls. I just think it was really intriguing, and as I said, I was right. It's probably the best thing I've ever done, will ever do, yeah. Mind you, at my age. I would be lucky to find something else better. So, yeah, wonderful career. And I think I was lucky that, I've done 40 years in the same profession, almost at the same organisation. Not many people have that opportunity nowadays. So, so I'd love to say do what I did, but probably I can't expect that to happen anymore. I see what you're getting at, but I'm afraid I probably have actually bad news for you. The particular upgrade at Brisbane Airport at the moment is one I started, but I wasn't able to finish it because I was leaving, and then COVID interrupted. But for many, many years, we've been required by the federal government to upgrade the security. So they've got to have new screening machines, new baggage systems. It's new technology, much more clever algorithms which find out many more things that are hidden away in your suitcases and things, but they're bigger, heavier and slower. So you need more of them. The current buildings aren't big enough for them. You've got to strengthen the floors and a whole range of things. So I think the airport's probably been trying to put it off as long as they can, but now the crunch has come. They're on a very tight timetable from the government to get these things finished. And so that is all mandatory. There's no, because it's mandatory, the airports don't make profit on that particular development. We just got to get on and do it. And that's happening at every airport in Australia and mostly around the world. And part of the reason it's taken so long is the supply chain to get all that equipment. With every airport in the world doing that, they just don't make that many machines, so it's a slow process. But airports have to keep growing. Demand for travel is growing all the time. Airports in Australia are leased, they're not sold. They're sold 99-year leases. As part of that contract on those leases, you have to keep on developing and provide capacity that is needed. And those capacity analyses are done every 5 years when the airport does its new master plan, when they do all the demand-supply equations and they plan for the future. Every airport in Australia is going through a major redevelopment, and I was talking to Gert-Jan not so long ago, so I will mention that we need to do better. Well, he needs to do better support. We'll get some of those helpful people out there to direct people. But he tells me there's a 10 billion program they're looking at over the next decade or so, which is going to be fun when we're also spending billions on transport and games and all that sort of stuff. So it's going to be an interesting time in Brisbane. But the legacy of those things is really, really important. I remember many years ago, I was sitting at my desk and I was visited by both bidders for the casino, and they asked me, would Brisbane Airport handle several 100,000 more passengers each year? And the answer was no. But the good news was we were building a runway, and once that runway was finished, we could handle as many passengers as they could throw at us. So your city needs to keep growing its airport if it's going to keep on growing the commerce and the opportunities around its city. So I'm afraid airports will keep changing on you.